Alright guys, so in my previous video, somebody called me a moron because I didn't put any foam or concrete in these posts. So, we're gonna try this. Okay, I've never done it before. Here's hoping it works.
This reaction video, sponsored by Nationwide Industries, but Nationwide Industries is more than just a sponsor. I legitimately enjoy doing business with them, both with the Cornerstone 2 hinges and the Trident latch that we use on our pool gates, or on their full line of chain link hardware. They're great people to work with. I appreciate them a lot. If you're looking for a supplier, you should check them out too. All right, fence fam, today's video is titled How to Make 2 Gates Out of 1 Fence Panel. Won't sag, DIY woodworking with minimal tools. An interesting title that caught our attention right off the bat. To watch the original video without commentary, we will link the video in the description below.
3 stockade panels pre-made. One has been cut in half to make those 2 gates. Let's see how we did it. All right, let's get this underway. After a quick trip to the big box store, I picked up 4 2x4s, 2 landscape timbers, 3 stockade panels, and a few extra pickets, and also...
I understand that the pre-made panels are easier to install. The obvious trade-off is, mentioning they came from a big box store, the quality is largely diminished. Like I said, I understand they're easier, but not as good of an end result.
Well, there's a few ways you can go about disassembling an old fence. You can use a drill or a screw gun to unscrew all the screws, or you can use, in this case, I used a mini sledge, and that seemed to work just fine as well. With the fence posts out of the way, now it's time to remove these 4x4s. Now, lucky for me, the previous homeowner didn't use any cement, so you just wiggle these back and forth a little bit and they come right out.
It's a wonder the fence stayed fairly straight for as long as it did.
Well, until the last one I tried. I broke it off. Turns out it had cement in it. 20 minutes later, got it out.
Some cement.
I take a measurement of the span and it's 23 feet 2 inches. That's perfect. As you see me here, I'm using an 8-foot 2x4 to kind of give me a reference on where to dig my post. But the 23 feet is great because it affords me to buy 3 pre-made stockade panels, and I'm actually able to rip one in half.
I'm not sure how the 2x4 is telling him where to dig the post. I'd like to see him use some sort of device, whether it's a string or otherwise, to make sure that each of these posts are perfectly in line with each other.
As I'm digging these post holes, I
stand corrected. It does appear that there is a black string line.
Alright guys, so in my previous video, somebody called me a moron because I didn't put any foam or concrete in these posts. So, we're gonna try this. Okay, I've never done it before. Here's hoping it works.
If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know we've tried this particular product twice now with failing results. In the comments of those videos, it has been brought to my attention that maybe it's because they were steel posts rather than wood posts. Very well could be. My argument is it says on the package it is for wood, vinyl, or steel post, but maybe he'll have better luck with it in wood posts.
So this mixture comes in a 2-part bag. You simply roll up one side, it breaks the seal in the middle. You then squeeze both sections together for 15 seconds. You can start to feel the bag become very hot actually as this happens. So half the contents go in one post, half the contents...
No, well, I guess I have to go back and read the instructions, but my understanding was 1 bag per hole. And now the holes, I guess, don't look very wide in diameter, so maybe that's it. Maybe the holes are half as wide as they should be. But it should be that 1 bag of this replaces 1 bag of concrete, which means you would need a little over a bag per hole, not half a bag per hole.
And within about 1 minute, I'm going to bring you in here, you can see this foam starts to rise up.
If that's a 4-inch post, or 3.5, 4x4s are 3.5 by 3.5, it looks like that post hole might only be, 5 or 6 inches wide, 6 inches, 7 inches maybe, rather than the 10 to 12 inch hole that you'd like to see on this type of fence.
Lather, rinse, repeat. We're going to break the seal in the middle. We're going to blend the 2 parts together, and this stuff does get hot. They say you can't leave it uncut or the bag might explode. Maybe that should be another YouTube video.
We tried that on a YouTube video. Unfortunately, bag does not explode. It's got safety features in it now, apparently.
Now it's time to fill in the post holes that were originally there, clean up a little bit, make it a little bit more tidy before we install the fence panels.
So it looks like he had pretty decent results there. One option would be that they were wood post versus steel post. Also that he used a significantly smaller hole than what was designed for.
I'm going to go ahead and install these 3-inch screws right through to the fence post. This isn't going to be the final method of installation. I'm actually going to use 5-inch lag bolts. Once one side's installed, I'll make some micro adjustments to level it up, run around to the other side, and
you would definitely want your pickets to be up off the ground. It looks like he's leveling it by pushing dirt under the fence. You definitely want there to be at least a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of ground clearance under it. That way the pickets don't absorb the water. They don't soak it up like a sponge. It prevents rot.
so as some ducks fly overhead, I'm going to take some measurements to make essentially the boxed in frame for the gate. These 2x4s are all cut to length. I'm going to clamp them down, install them with 1 1/4 inch screws. But the gate isn't quite finished there. We need a little bit more strength in it, or a little more lateral strength, if you will. So I'm going to take another 2x4 and I'm going to lay it diagonally across the panel, make a few marks.
So you'd probably want to see those uprights be fastened to the other structure, the cross members. It looks like he had run some screws through the pickets into the uprights, which doesn't actually attach them to the other structure of the fence. You could pocket screw those in. You could toenail them in. You could use a couple different methods, but you definitely want to attach the uprights to the horizontals just to tie all of the structure in together.
And then take my circular saw, set it to the depth of the 2x3 right here, and make a few cuts. And then knock this piece out with a hammer, just like that. Pull the nails out with some channel locks, and now we're good to go. I go ahead and make these cuts right here on the miter saw as well. And now it's time to install it. All right, with the piece cut to length, now it's time to install this diagonal support. I'm gonna go ahead and toe nail or toe screw this piece in. I'm not sure what you call this technique, but I'm doing it anyway.
So it looks like you didn't tie the middle cross members into anything. It looks like they might be floating now. Again, you would want to tie them all together. You want all of your structure tied in together.
All right, now to install the hardware, here's what I'm doing. I'm taking some scrap pieces and I'm installing them temporarily into this landscape timber. I rest the gate on those pieces. One, they raise the gate up to give me the clearance I need. Two, it's kind of like a second hand for me to install these hinges.
If you're going to do that, I would go ahead and cut whatever that space is, 2 inches. I'd go ahead and cut that off the bottom pickets. That way your gate was flush with the top of the rest of the fence.
All right, guys, let's talk about a couple things. One being the fact that this fence panel and this fence panel are not the same height. And that's because the ground itself is graded down away from the house. And honestly, I could have risen the ground back up. I could have graded it back up, but I don't have much time to do these projects.
Some of the pre-made panels can also rack, where you could actually install it to match the grade. One of the downfalls of pre-made panels, though, a lot of them, probably including these from the home stores, is they don't rack that much. So you are left with this stair step. Now, the stair stepping is enhanced a bit. The fall looks enhanced because, again, those gates were raised up a couple inches to clear the ground, but the gates are the same height as the fence. So if he had cut a few inches off the bottom of the gates to bring them back down to height, it would make that a lot less noticeable.
All right, first step in installing this locking mechanism is to mark where I need to drill the hole. Here is the hardware I'm using from the home center. As you can see, it's a series of pipes kind of put together. Here's the hole we need. We're gonna take a 1 1/4 inch Forstner bit. We're gonna hammer in this, I guess what you call it, collar, if you will. I'm not even sure. I just found it in the plumbing supply area. And we're gonna build this section up. We're gonna take this elbow, we're gonna screw it into this long 2 foot by 3/4 inch pipe, and then screw in a handle just like this. I'm using some 1 1/4 inch panhead screws and actual nuts as washers, as spacers, if you will, to give me some more room to have this thing move up and down free and clear.
So they actually make drop rod sets that are designed built for double gates. They were likely in the same section that he picked up the hinges and latches at. This is certainly one way to accomplish the task, but to have it all look fairly uniform, you would probably want your drop rod to match your hinges and latch. There are easier ways of doing this, is what I'm saying.
Now it's time to install the handle, and then one of these interlocking mechanisms on the other side for a little added security, you know.
So I guess there's 2 latches on the gate, an inside and an outside latch.
And here it is. Not too bad for this budget-friendly, one-day build. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Well, guys, let me know what you think about the video. How do you think it went? What would you have done differently? Can't wait to hear your guys' comments below. Until next time, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors.